the changing seasons, especially when you're in that transition phase, can bring in so much fear that you even act kind of irrationally in a way. Welcome to another episode of OMG, another podcast. How have you been doing? I've been okay. It's a bit cold in Nairobi. It's supposed to be August. I'm supposed to be in a summer dress. Let lot my sleeveless dress fool you. Mumbi has set up the studio in a way it's a bit cozy and warm today. So I hope you are doing well. I'm so happy. I'm at Hellway Studios. They are my recording partners. Make sure you hit them up if you want to record a podcast or any other production kind of thing. They're going to sort you out. Thank you so much for every follow, every comment. I interact with you guys. Thank you so much for all the love and for our little growing community. I'm so grateful for that. Make sure you are following us though on all our social media platforms. That is on OMG, another podcast. We're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. And then you can find the audio on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Okay, let's go right in. And today's episode, which is about growth during the in-between season. You know, when you don't understand where you are, you've evolved, or you are in the process actually of evolving. You're not where you were, but you're also not fully where you're going. And the reason why I was really thinking about this is because I feel like I'm currently in that season of growth. And I just thought I was like, yeah, let's actually talk about it, right? And the reason why I feel this is important is because it can be a time where you kind of feel lost in the wind, like you kind of don't have direction. If you know me personally, you know I'm very type A. I am a planner to the T. I knew, for example, the career that I wanted to, take up when I was in high school. I didn't care if I was going to get an A in KCSE or a B or a D or an E. I knew the career I wanted to pursue. I knew the school I would be attending. Kila kitu. I knew everything. And that's the path I followed. I was so focused and things like that. But then there are moments, of course, through life and through time where I wasn't too sure of what I should be doing or what I'm doing. And it's uncomfortable. And you can feel like you're wasting your life away. And it can make you feel like you're not really... You don't know what you're doing. And if you're not careful, that season can really suck you in and you will be in freeze mode and you won't move. So one of the things is, especially growth seasons, because I always give a personal example, for me has been especially my dressing. I know that's weird, like an example to use, but I feel like it's so, like also how you dress is part of your identity. So for example, growing up, when I was very young, when you don't necessarily have autonomy of what you're wearing, my mom dressed us my sisters and I in very girly dresses, flowers, like proper girly girl. And I loved that until I didn't. Then, believe it or not, I had a tomboy phase. And I'm not talking about cute tomboy. I'm talking about baggy t-shirts and like, you guys are calling them cute things, jorts now. That time they were not cute because everyone was doing the flared pants, which we were calling hipster. I had one or two, but I preferred my jorts, my big frumpy shorts and sneakers. And I was that girl for a long time. And I was so happy in my body. I was comfortable. I remember my mom taking me for shopping. I was a pre-teenager at that time, I remember. And I was like, and then she would pick out dresses and I'm like, ew, yuck, no, thank you. And actually remember, I didn't like dresses and skirts until I was like around maybe 20. You'd find me always in jeans and a top and mostly a t-shirt, and my jorts. That was it. Then slowly, my friend Kawira, shout out to Kawira, introduced me to makeup. And I was like, I'm not too sure I like this thing, but I started playing with it for the art of it. And then I don't know what happened when I became an adult and I was around the age of 20. I morphed into something else. And now I became girly girl pro max. And I still feel like I'm in this season. Then at least I started appreciating dresses, liking them more, wearing them, buying them. But I've always loved doing my nails. That's been a constant since I was in high school. because my mom did them and she had beautiful, long, natural nails, and my nails are like hers. So I was like, yeah, that's my thing. And it's always been my thing. So I just remember whenever I noticed when I was in a period of transition, I was so confused because all of a sudden I now have a desire to wear a dress, whereas all I liked doing was wearing shorts or my jorts and my jeans and my tee, and nothing cute that would accentuate my body in any way, shape, or form. And at that time, I didn't even have any like body insecurities or anything that made me think too much about it. That was my personal style. Now, in my 20s, especially when I started working, like my early to mid 20s, actually even a bit into late, if I'm being honest, I like showing my body. I loved a good short dress. And I don't know if it's my mom's influence, but she likes you showing a bit of leg. She's like, you're not old, you're a young person. Hey, but me, I wore them short. Like sometimes I even think of how I went to work wearing those things. Even HR never summoned me. But if you know, you know. If you knew me then, hey, do you know how bad it was? There's one time I went to Shago and I was wearing a long dress. My grandmother, my shosho, was like Mukami Niwe. Like in shock. It was like a thing. Everyone was telling everyone, have you seen Mukami in a long dress? Which is so funny because I'm wearing one now. It's a midi dress. And I was just like, that's so funny. I didn't even know when I kind of made the switch. And then even became a thing to the point where I think I only had maxi dresses for a long time. My mom even pointed it out. She's like, why are you not showing off your legs just having these maxi dresses? So I use the analogy of fashion and how seasons change. Oh, and now I'm in my 30s and I'm in my mildly modest era, I think. I have a variety. I have short clothes. I have longer hemlines, which is interesting. So what I was saying is I'm using the analogy of fashion to say that in between is really very uncomfortable. That time where you don't know necessarily if you're still in the past and if you are moving into something new, you're in your cocoon stage. That is a stage of preparation. That is a stage where you're learning. And sometimes, let me tell you, it can be very uncomfortable and it can be painful because you're being forced to leave your former habits. You're being forced to grow into something that you've never been. And that can be scary because now you're transiting into something else that you have never been. You're transiting to another version of you that you have not met yourself. So you're not even sure if you're going to like them. You're not even sure if you're going to appreciate this new version of yourself. You don't know. And that can be jarring. That can be so scary. It's been scary for me. I remember when I was even moving from high school to uni, the joy of like, thank God I'm no longer in a boarding school. I went to a public boarding school. Thank God I'm no longer in a boarding school and I never have to see the gates of a boarding school. But then when I got into uni, I realized, hiya, now there's no timetable. There are no bells. There are no prefects. That weight of responsibility of now you're the one, you pick your classes. I was in a private uni, so we had the leeway to pick your classes. So you can decide you have a class at 8. You can even take evening classes if you wanted. And I remember I was like, I waited and I wanted this freedom for so long. Why does it feel so jarring? Why does it feel like it's such a big thing? And let me tell you what no one ever says. Freedom comes with another layer of responsibility. I'll say that again. Freedom comes with another layer of responsibility, meaning that I had the freedom, but I also had the responsibility to now show up and make sure that I make it to my classes on time. Like even now, your parents don't necessarily know or are following you to the T with what you're doing. Now you're a full-grown adult. Well, you're still young, but you're still an adult. Now you're the one who knows you need to get to class on time, how you're going to get there. If you're taking a matatu, how are you going to connect? And, you look at the time to make sure that you're there on time. And I remember that was so jarring. The next transition was from now uni, at least now I've understood the rhythm of being in class, being with my friends. So I'm able now to balance my social life as well as my studies. I'm doing well. Now comes another transition. Now, umesoma. And then how are you going to start making money? How are you going to start carving out your career? And let me tell you, that fear in me was so much that in my end of we used to hear stories when I was in uni, kutamak. And let me tell you, if there's one thing that I did not want to do is kutamak. You know what I did? In my second year, I went to one of my lecturers and I asked them if I'm starting out in my career, what would you best advise? And then she was like, yeah, be an intern in an agency, either an ad agency or a PR agency, an agency. In my second year, my final semester of my second year, I started applying to those agencies and I got a job. Imagine, hata sijamaliza shule. Like, I'm in my second year. Thinking back, I was like, what was that pressure for? But it was just that fear. And that's also another thing that I wanted to bring out. Like, that period of transition can bring fear. Sometimes it's good and positive because looking back, I'm glad I started early because I had like a head start in my career in a way, but I feel like now it's a level playing field. But I think it gave me the peace of mind. However, I was so stressed and tired because of the long hours. You need to be work before 8. That time, you're an intern, you're trying to prove yourself, you're trying to even prove to these people who gave you a chance that you're worth it. You don't even know like the ins and outs of being in a workplace. You don't even understand the politics of being in an office. Let me tell you, character development. And then after that, I still have to go to my classes because remember, I'm in my second year. So now the next year, I'm in my third year. This is now when things are getting serious. I'm taking evening classes because like I said, I was in a uni where you're able to pick your classes. So now I'm taking evening classes. I was tired. I remember I was always either late for class or something, and sometimes even have an exam. I remember I used to cry like almost every single night. Let me tell you, that time, home is Kahawa West. Work is Brookside Grove in Westlands. How many mats are those two? You take one from Kahawa West, go into town, you get another one from town to Westlands, Brookside Grove. You cross the road because it's a major highway. That time there were no footbridges or nothing. You're there fighting for your life, hoping someone stops for you. Then you go into work, you clock in, take another mat from Brookside Grove to now the mall Westlands, because now I was going to school. Stop, take another one from the mall, takes you through like that. Then you go to, I was in Daystar, then you go to Daystar. Do my classes. It was like 7 to 9 or 9:30, some crazy hours. Take a bus from school in Valley Road to town and then town to home, like every single day. By the way, this is to say, usijipe pressure sa zingine. Sometimes one of my lessons there is to be happy in the current season that I was in and not necessarily rush things. But anyway, it did give me the edge. I didn't tarmac after finishing school because I had a job. But sometimes I wonder at what cost. But like that's what I'm talking about. The seasons, the changing seasons, especially when you're in that transition phase, can bring in so much fear that you even act kind of irrationally in a way. Then now you are at work, climbing up the career ladder. That's another one. You have to understand how office politics work. You have to, now it's not like in school where you put in your assignment and whatever you've worked for, you are awarded for that. So if I work hard, I study, I put in my assignment or my project, you get your A, you go home. Now you start learning skills like you have to advocate for yourself. You have to position yourself where you are visible as a contributor within the organization. You have to learn new skills so you can upscale. Like it was crazy. That's another transition. So I think for me, what I've learned is that in those phases of transition, it can be a challenging time because there's so much uncertainty. Like I said, like you are not who you were before, but you're not yet fully formed where you were. There are feelings of fear and self-doubt that will creep in. This is when now things like imposter syndrome will come in, and then that voice in your head saying, what makes you think that you're worthy of that position that you're eyeing because you have the qualification? What makes you think that you're worthy of a promotion at work. And then that's why a lot of us sit in our cocoons, in our little boxes, and we never move. We never move because you're afraid of that transition. That's crazy. That paralyzing feeling where you don't feel like you can move any longer just because you're afraid of making the next steps is so valid. And I'm saying that because I have been in those positions, like I've even just talked about the only thing that keeps me going is I'm usually more afraid of being stuck in the same place. Like looking back 5 years and I'm like, guy, I'm still in the same place. I'm still in the same position, earning the same money. For example, when it comes to my career, that's the only thing that makes me so scared that I move. But I know there are times where it's so paralyzing because it means that you're making a big leap. It means that you're following your dream. You've always said that you're going to start that venture. You've always said you're going to venture into fashion. Then now you start looking for excuses as to, the Kenyan market is flooded with so many Kenyan designers. The weather is not good. My face has a pimple. Like, you give yourself so many reasons as to why not to move. And if you're not careful, you're going to be stuck in that season forever. So how do you know you're in a place of transition? Number one, you find yourself wanting different. You have this restlessness about you. You feel like, I've been in this place too long. It's almost like you have cabin fever where you want to just go out and see what's there. That's one of the ways you can know that you're in a season of transition, or you should start transiting into something else. That knowing. So you also start feeling a grief in terms of you feel like you've outgrown it now. That's another sign that you need to move. It's almost like, I'm so glad for the person I was. I'm so glad for this version of me. I'm so glad for these experiences that I've had. But now you almost feel like you're even mourning that season, and you start thinking about it like it's the past. That's another sign that you need to start transiting, or you're already in transition because you're already mourning what was because of what is yet to come. Another thing is nostalgia. You start being nostalgic. 2 years ago, remember what we used to do? What? Remember the way we used to eat lunch together? For me, I remember, especially when I started working, I didn't realize how, especially when like you're in uni or in college, you have like a ready ecosystem. You're guaranteed you're going to see your friends. You're guaranteed you're going to have lunch together and have a laugh. And then that's it. Then you become an adult and now you're trying to put things into the calendar. Hey, can we meet on Saturday the 12th? And then your other friend is like, no, that day have a rurashos, the other one has a baby shower, and now you can't meet. And I think sometimes we take that for granted. So for me, I remember my social life just changing so drastically and feeling almost alone and lonely because now everyone has kind of their own life and you need to find a new rhythm and have to be with your friends. And during that season, another symptom or how to know you've transited or you're in a new season is loss. Loss of who you were in terms of your personality. Now maybe you're working, you're becoming more serious, your time is not as free. You don't have like a random 11 a.m. you can sleep on the grass. Now you're working. Loss of friends because now you're not together. There's distance, and everyone is doing their own thing. Loss of even just autonomy because now you're you're building something. Maybe you've started a new project. That's when you've decided to be, for example, a content creator. So like even your lifestyle is different and a loss of identity. And then another way you can also know is irritability. When you're just irritable, you're just not happy. It's like you're an angry person. And that's because of that uncertainty and that change. Change isn't easy. Change is one of the things that we are most afraid of as human beings. We are creatures of comfort. By the way, even how our nervous systems and our bodies are built, we are built for our bodies to protect us. So anything that is new, that's why we get anxious before we start, because that's your body trying to ask you those questions. Are you sure? Are we safe? Are we going to be okay? All those things. And that's just your body trying to protect you, honey. That doesn't mean though that you shouldn't move into the next stage. That doesn't mean though that you shouldn't be moving into what's next. And as we close off, I'm just thinking to yourself. I'm thinking to myself, and I want you to also think for yourself and wonder, what have you been resisting to transition into because you're in a growth season? What does that look like for you? I mean, for me, like I've mentioned, it was just an identity and purpose, like what I want to do with my life moving forward, how I want to use my talents and gifts. And like I told you, I resisted for so many years before, for example, I started this platform. And there's so many other things. I think that's my journal prompt for you for this week. Please ask yourself what you're holding on to that is of the past and you should be letting go of so that you can go into the next stage of growth. Growth is hard. Growth stretches you. Growth requires you to look at yourself without a filter and face who you are, your demons, your traumas, whatever it is that is holding you back. Growth will show you that. And that's the thing with life. Life has so many seasons. There are going to be seasons of absolute joy, bliss. Please make sure that you revel in them. Sometimes it's going to be hard. You're building something, you're trying to scale something, you're trying to understand something. That's a season. But at the end of the day, you are on the other side. You have, you have grown in leaps and bounds from what you were before. And I think my encouragement to you, and the last thing I'll say is, please be brave to grow. Be brave enough to choose growth. And be brave enough and bet on yourself that you've gone through hard things, you've gone through challenging things, and you've made it on the other side. So please choose growth today. Choose to be brave and choose to show up. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your comments. Please leave a comment what has resonated for you. Let me know what you feel like you are missing into the other stage of growth, what you're afraid of. And make sure you follow us on across all social media platforms. That is OMG on another podcast. And also follow my recording and studio partners, Herway Studios. Thank you so much. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.